Anthropomorphic is a lovely and luxurious word. Say it with me. Anthropomorphic. Literally, it means human form or shape, and typically refers to the idea of describing God in human terms, even though God is not a man. Jesus affirmed that most clearly in John 4:24 when he declared that God is spirit. However, the Bible is filled with descriptions of God's nature and characteristics as if he had a human form, in anthropomorphic terms. The problem with those illustrations is that instead of us realizing their limitations as illustrations of the limitless God, we tend to see God through those illustrations as if he himself is limited. That's a grave and dangerous mistake. If we're careful to make the adjustments in our minds to fully understand that while the illustrations are limited, God is not, then we can learn a lot about God from the many biblical examples. Near the end of his life, David wrote a song wherein he called God his rock, fortress, refuge, and deliverer, 2 Samuel 22, verses 2 through 4. There are 8 distinct figures of speech in those 3 verses describing the safety and protection he received from God. And that's just the beginning. David continued describing the attributes of God in a veritable flood of anthropomorphic terms, along with a host of other material figures of speech. Just to note a few. God has ears, verse 7, nostrils, verse 9, a mouth, verse 9, feet, verse 10, and rode a cherub, verse 11. He made dark clouds appear around him like a tent, verse 12, but was so hot coals were kindled by his presence, verse 13. His voice thundered from heaven, verse 14, and his eyes see the proud, verse 28. Then he is light in the darkness, verse 29, and a shield to those who hide in him, verse 31. And it keeps going and going and going. What an amazing God David describes here in 2 Samuel 22. So, rather than thinking of God as limited, let's remember that the illustrations are limited, but serve to teach us something about God. In the song, all those attributes serve to illustrate that God is listening to and providing protection for his anointed servant, David. Only an unlimited God is able to do all those things. And David understood him. That's why David was so tuned in to God that he got God. Seeing through the physical to the spiritual reality of the eternal divine being requires eyes of faith. In other words, we must see with our mind what we cannot see with our eyes. What about you? Is your view of God limited or limitless? Thank you for watching Morning Minutes in the Bible. Until next time, this is James McClenny hoping you have a great day.